Welcome friends to Farm Fresh Designs 59. In today's video, I have 34 Christmas ornaments to share with you today to inspire you or to give you some ideas. In the first group of ornaments, I have been making up a lot of resin castings from different frames molds. Two of the molds are the IOD frames mold 1 and 2, and then some of the other molds are some that I've just had in my stash. And I may or may not have a link to those, but I will look for those. So I have all of my castings set up, but not painted yet. And now I'm using the back of an old cereal box to use as the backing for a lot of these ornaments that are going to go behind these frames. So I've traced them all out and cut them all out, and now I'm going to paint them with Rust-Oleum linen white chalk paint. And yes, it curls up just a little bit, but over time it kind of settles down. And once I get through painting all of these pieces, then I seal it with Rust-Oleum clear sealer. So what I'm doing now is I have picked out the different transfers that I'm going to be putting on these white cardboard pieces that will then go behind the frames. And the different transfers come from the transfers from this Christmas, the Yuletide, Crimson Velvet, and Kitschy Christmas. So I actually went through all of my books or my transfer sets, and I would lay the frames on top of them and just see which one was going to fit in each frame. And then I had already got them all cut out, and now I am in the process of transferring all of these onto that cardboard, which is a really cheap way to put a back for a frame. So if you've not used a transfer before, you paint your project, and then once that dries, you need to put a clear sealer on it if you have not used a paint that has a sealer in it. And once that dries, you put the transfer down and use the transfer stick that IOD provides. And once you put it down, then you use that plastic sheet to rub back over it, and that's called burnishing it. And I believe in this first group of ornaments, I think about 15 to 18 ornaments like this with the frames and that cardboard and the different transfers. And I'm making a lot of these ornaments either to hang on gifts, or I am the substitute teacher for my mom's Sunday school class. So when we have our Christmas party, I'm going to be giving each of the ladies in the Sunday school class one of these ornaments. So currently I have to make about 45 ornaments just for the Christmas party. So I have a big task ahead of me. So I tried to get as many done in this video, but I still will have some more that I need to finish up. And then you're going to see some tiny little ornaments and some tiny little frames, and those will go on gift packages. And some of these ornaments will be given to teachers and just different people like that. And I can hang them on, some of my packages that I give. Now on this one particular one with the owl, I am using a stamp, and it's just some holly with some leaves. And it's just because that is a bigger frame, and I just wanted to put something up there in the corner that matched the transfer that I'm using. But as I put on all these transfers on those pieces of cardboard, I set those off to the side, and then I go back and I paint all of the frames with Waverly chalk paint in the color ink. So I'm painting them all black, and then after I get them all painted, and I only paint them on the front, then I'm going to go back with some gold gilding wax over all of the frames that brings out that detail. And you may wonder, why am I not painting the back of those frames? So at the end, when I finish up these frames, you'll see what I do to the back of them to finish them off. But this is a pretty messy task, and it does take me quite a while. So I've been working on this for about a month, and I still have a lot of ornaments left to go. Okay, so at this point, I finally have all of the frames finished, and now I'm going to attach that cardboard that has the transfer onto the back of these frames. And so I'm using Titebond Thick and Quick, and I'm just putting it around that little edge that opens up into the window of the frame, because some of this cardboard doesn't reach all the way to the edges, so I need to just make sure that it sticks to the back of that frame really well. But when I did cut that cardboard, I cut it just a little bit bigger than the actual opening in the frame, because I wanted to make sure that I had a little bit of edge on the back side. But I didn't want it to go all the way to the end, because that would have actually been really harder to do, and I wanted to make it just a little bit easier for me. So after I finish up with all of those frames, and yes, you'll see that I like shredded mini wheat from the back of this cardboard paper. So after I finish that up, now I'm going to be adding black velvet ribbon to the back side of all of these frames with hot glue. And then once I finish up with all that, then I take black felt, and that is when I get more particular about cutting that almost to the size of the particular frame that I have. But a lot of times it doesn't go all the way to the edge just because of the shapes of the frame. So I glue that with hot glue onto the back of that. And then all those little white edges, after that's all set up, then I go back and just use that Waverly chalk paint in the color ink to paint the rest of the back side. And then that way I'm not wasting a lot of paint on the back side of that frame. So I hope that makes sense. Now on some of the frames, I want to add just a little bit extra. So I'm going to show you this mini Bodabra, and you might see me use this a lot in my videos. And it's just really easy to use. So you take a piece of ribbon that goes vertical, and then all the little pieces of things, that ribbon or the eyelash yarn that you want to use, that is the pieces that go horizontal. Then you pull that ribbon up that goes vertical, and then you tie several knots, and then you just pull it up out of the Bodabra, and you've got your bow, and it makes it super, super easy. So on some of the larger frames, I put a little bow that's made out of the eyelash yarn, and I put those down with hot glue. And then on all of those eyelash yarn bows, I like to take some buttons and I cut off the back of it. And then these are actually plastic and they're not metal. And so that way I can use hot glue to put those on. If they were metal, hot glue and metal, they don't like each other. So if they were metal buttons, then I would have to use like Titebond Thick and Quick. So here are all of the frame ornaments that I have made for this particular group of ornaments. And by the way, if you're one of my mom's friends and you're in her Sunday school class, please don't tell everybody in Sunday school that Myra is making all of these ornaments for everybody. So we got to keep that secret until our Sunday school party. But I know that a couple of my mom's friends watch my videos, so y'all keep this a secret, okay? So tell me, what do you think? And which one of these is your favorite? And do you like to make ornaments for other people? I think they're a lot of fun to make and just hang on a gift bag as a tag, and you can actually write on the back if you want to. But I just love making ornaments. Okay, so let's get started on the next group. Now on these, I'm using the IOD Bibelow's mold that came out for this holiday release. And once again, I'm just using some different transfers on these. So I set up the resin castings with these, and then I painted them, I believe, with either Rust-Oleum chiffon cream or Rust-Oleum linen white. And then I just take them outside and spray them with Rust-Oleum clear sealer, and then they're just ready to go. And a lot of times when I make a lot of these castings, I go ahead and paint them a white color, and then I will go ahead and spray them so that I can have them, back so that I can finish them up later on. So once again, I get out my gold gilding wax from Dixie Belle, and I go all around the edges, and then I go up at the top. This is like the little ornament topper, and I believe I have already drilled a hole into all of these castings right up underneath that ornament topper. And you can also make these type of ornaments double-sided, but I just like to make them single-sided because it saves on resin. And then I used my stamp. It's called Ephemeral Type, and it came out this summer, I believe. And I just stamped a little bit of script on those ornaments as well. But now for my ornaments, when I poured the resin, they came out really pretty. And so I am using one of the stamps from the stamp set that came out this Christmas called Vintage Snowflake. Now, one of the resin castings was a little bit not flat. So with that one, I had to just cover that one with felt like I have done in the previous ornaments. And then because I had already drilled a hole in it, then I just took some floral wire and twisted it around and made like a little hanger with it. So tell me, what do you think? Now, this video is airing on Monday, but on Sunday, which was yesterday, I did a live Facebook video using the Bibelots mold along with the bows mold. So make sure to go back and watch the replay if you have not watched that already. And my Facebook page is called Farm Fresh Designs. In my next group of ornaments, I'm using Cloches. Now, on this one in particular, I used the clear resin that takes about 24 hours to set up. And so after it all set up, then I painted the base and the top with Waverly chalk paint in the color ink, and then I went back over it with gold gilding wax. Now, this is actually one of the first ornaments that I used in the clear resin. So I'm going to be putting a transfer on top of it. And to be honest, I made it so long ago, I don't really remember what that was that I was brushing on top. So I apologize for that. But it was something that made it really clear, and it kept it from being foggy before I put that transfer on. But now this one I made with that fast casting resin that sets up in about 10 minutes. And so with this one, it's really easy, and you don't have any of that fogginess to it like you do with the clear ones. So I used this cute little transfer, and down at the base and up at the top, I painted it black and then put gold gilding wax on it. Now, on my last cloche, this one I'm going to be doing a reverse decoupage. So this is some decoupage paper from Decoupage Central, and I will make sure to share the link in the description box below. So I traced out the size, and then I'm going to cut it out. I'm not going to tear it with this one because I do need it to be more specific. I'm going to be gluing it onto the back of the cloche with Pent Art decoupage glue, and it's in Ultra Matte. And look at this. This is called Judican's Diamond Glaze, and it's an adhesive, and it takes that resin from foggy to clear. And look at that. Within seconds, it is just so crystal clear that it looks like glass. It's amazing. And I get this Judican's Diamond Glaze off of Amazon. So for the base and the topper, I just used Rust-Oleum Linen White chalk paint on this one. And on the back, I paint the back side white, and especially the decoupage paper. And that will help the decoupage paper to really pop. And I use my gold gilding wax. And then, now let's go back to that first one. I kind of debated on how am I going to hang this, because I can't really put a back on it. So I took some of that some of that ribbon, and put a little piece of felt around it. And up at the top of that cloche, I painted it black on the front. So I just used that little area right there to put the hanger, and that felt covered up the little knot on the ribbon. And then that way it kind of blends in better. And then on this cloche, what I needed to do was to cover up that decoupage paper. So once again, I put my little hanger on it, and then I used a piece of felt on the back and put it on with hot glue, and then it covers up the back. So here's my next group of ornaments, and I just love this mold, and it was not a limited release, so these will be available. And just think of all the possibilities for every holiday when you use this particular mold. So what do you think? And have you used this particular mold yourself? So if you're enjoying the video so far, make sure to hit the like button and subscribe to my channel and become part of our family. So the next group of ornaments are made with the mold called Conservatory, and it was put out, I believe, this summer. And it's a smaller little mold, and when I set these up with resin, while it was setting up, I used those little jewelry, they're called jewelry bells, and really it's just a little hanger that you would have on a necklace for a pendant. And if you put it in when the resin is setting up, then you've automatically got a little hanger for it. So I painted them with some different colors. I painted some more of a dusty blue and one red, and then I painted the one that's more the medallion in black. So watch this technique. I'm taking the front of the transfer set and I'm cutting out that little elf. Well, because it's made out of paper and I want to thin it out, I use this method that I learned from Deidre on Our Upcycled Life, where you take something that's made with something that's a little bit thicker paper and you rub packing tape over it. And you just keep doing that over and over, and it thins out that paper so it's really thin. Once I got it to the place where I was happy, then I just took some scissors and went all around the edge and cut out the design without leaving any of the background on it. And this is the mold that I painted black, and I'm just going to glue this on with Mod Podge right in the center. And then I went back over the detail with gold gilding wax. Now with all the other little conservatory molds, I painted them and I put sealer on it, and I used a lot of the tiny little transfers that came in those holiday release sets. And then I put gold gilding wax on the details and put a little gold bow. And even though the designs are bigger than that little strip in the center, it didn't matter. And what I like about these will make great bookmarks later on. If you wanted to use this mold for like the little bookmarks that you might make for a teacher or for a friend, or maybe a bookmark to put in your Bible. And I will be using these to give to my grandchildren's teachers this Christmas because they're so small. So what do you think? And have you used this mold before? It is a very versatile mold, and I know that Decoupage Central still has some if you have not gotten yours yet. Okay, my last group of ornaments are made out of MDF or wood. So these first two pieces are made with MDF, and they're just little plaques. So I painted one Rust-Oleum chiffon cream and another one with a dusty blue. And once the paint dried, I used one of the stamps from a ephemeral type stamp that came out this summer and put that on it. I let that ink dry, and then I sprayed it with sealer, and then I put a larger transfer on top of that. And then I add a velvet ribbon on the back of these two. And yes, these are a little bit bigger, but these could also be something that you hang on maybe a door or a cabinet knob. So on the blue, I actually then use one of the frames mold from IOD, and I paint it white, and I'm putting a little transfer on it. And then I'm going to glue that frame on top of that little plaque. But to figure out how big that transfer needs to be for that frame, I just laid it down, and I used something that was pointed but not sharp to kind of push those edges in. And then that way I could go back and cut it before I transferred it. Now my next piece is one of those little wood rounds. And this is some paper that is currently not available with Decoupage Central. And it's a lot of little round ornaments that you can put out for Christmas. And they're all blue snowman. So this particular one that I'm using, I painted the back of it white because I wasn't sure if I was even going to paint that wood round initially. And I knew that I needed a white background to make it pop out the design to pop out a little bit better. And then I put it down with Mod Podge. And then after I get it all on, then I use this snow paste and kind of highlight some of the details on this particular design. In no really order, just kind of followed where the snow was on this particular design. And then I went back with a little bit of glue and then put some clear glitter on top just to really make it sparkle. On the back side, I painted it with some blue paint, and I'm really not sure what color I used, but it matched the blue that was in this decoupage paper. And when that dried, I used the stamp set called Vintage Snowflakes, and I used the IOD Mixing White ink to stamp a snowflake on the back. Now, IOD sells two different whites. They sell a mixing white that you can use just as regular ink, or you can use that to mix with the other inks to make something a little bit lighter. And then they also have the erasable white. Now, the next ornament is just a little MDF stocking, and I'm not sure what was on it before, but it had been taken off, and I set it to the side. So I'm painting it white. And I'm going to be using a printable that I used in a video that came out this past Saturday in a collaboration. And it is a printable that you get from Decoupage Central. Which simply means is you go to the website and you purchase the download, and the download goes to your email, and then you download it onto your computer, and then you can print it with your own printer or maybe go to a print shop. And the beauty of using these printables is once you pay for the printable once, you can print out as many copies as you want. And the other cool part about it is that you can reduce it and make it even smaller. And in my video on Saturday, I reduced it, and you'll see that the image is just as clear and vibrant, even when you reduce the size of it. So I used some paper from a church hymnal that I always use that same paper out of. And put the title of the hymn up at the top, and then I used the rest of the paper on the rest of the stocking from that particular sheet. And then once it dried, I used my finger sander to get the edges off, and then I went and put this particular decoupage paper on, the printable, onto the top of that music sheet. And when it dried, then I used my finger sander for that. Okay, so this is something I've been wanting to try. I know you have seen these at Hobby Lobby in the cake department because it's supposed to be used for cakes, but I thought, I'm just going to try this. Well, I'm not going to tell you it's the best mold that you'll ever use. In fact, it was kind of aggravating. But I put clay in it, and then I used my air dry clay, and then I smoothed it out with like an old credit card. And then I put it in the freezer for just a little bit before I took it out because this is a very, very thin mold. And I wasn't even sure if it was going to work or not. And even after putting it in the freezer, I still struggled to get it out. And when it did come out, it did break a little bit. But what I wanted to do was just to see if this worked, because I'm going to be putting that up at the top of the stocking to make it look like lace on it. So if you don't have this mold, then this would be a great place to put like some lace up at the top, or maybe even something that looks like just a little fur up at the top. But it was really hard to get out of this mold, and I'm not probably going to use it again. And then I painted that white, and then I put some clear glitter on it. Okay, my last ornament is made with this decoupage paper from Decoupage Central, and this one comes with, one page comes with 4 different cardinals. So I isolate that one that I'm going to use with the little water pen, and I'm going to be using one of those little cutting boards that you can get at Hobby Lobby, and I painted it white on both sides. And I'm going to start my starter strip of Mod Podge down at the bottom because I want to make sure that that graphic goes all the way to the bottom. And then I work my way up, gluing it down. On the back side, I use a partial part of a stamp from an older IOD stamp called Winter Adornment. And I use IOD black ink. And then down in the corner, I use a stamp that says Merry Christmas from an older IOD stamp called Merry and Bright. And then I put a little bit of greenery on both sides. And then on this particular side, I just take some brown ink and go around the edges and distress it. On both sides, I put the greenery, but I also put a little red shoestring bow on both sides, just in case, if you want to turn it on one side or the other. And even if you don't hang it, you can put it on like a little pedestal in your kitchen. So friends, we are almost at the end of the video. Thank you so much for watching today. I made a lot of ornaments, and I still have a lot left to make for the Christmas party. So I will probably have another ornament video coming out in a couple weeks because, well, I've got to make some more, and I've got to make some more pretty quick. But friends, I want to thank you so much for all of your support this year. And as we approach the Thanksgiving season, I just want you to know that I'm thankful for you. And each week when I put out my videos and I read your sweet comments, it just blesses my heart so much. And for those of you who always watch every one of my videos and you always make comments, it's just such a sweet feeling to pop open those comments and see your name pop up, because it really does feel like, even though we've not met each other, that we're part of a family. So thank you for that. So in the comments below today, let me know which one was your favorite. It's going to be a hard choice because, well, you have 34 to choose from. But let me know which one or which ones were your favorite. And make sure to follow me on Facebook for Farm Fresh Designs, because I do live videos there and we chat with each other while I'm doing DIYs. And my Facebook page is called Farm Fresh Designs. It doesn't have the 59 at the end, but there will be a link in the description box below. And down below in the description box are the links to all the IOD products that are still available and all the decoupage paper that I used. But friends, thank you so much for always watching and always being supportive. And I hope that next week, as we get together with hopefully family, that you just have a week filled with joy and blessings. So once again, if you enjoyed the video today, make sure to hit the like button and subscribe to my channel. And also make sure to hit the notifications button so that YouTube will notify you when I put out my next video. I usually put them out on Mondays at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. But as we get closer to Christmas, I may have some bonus videos because I still have a lot of Christmas items that I need to make. Thank you so, so much. And I hope that you have a blessed rest of the week. Thank you so much, friends.